Kristy, can you talk us through how you can use this Wize delegation guide to figure out what activities you should and shouldn't be doing? And for the ones you shouldn't be doing, how to delegate them?
Yeah.
That'd be really great.
Absolutely. So it's filling in either a time audit if you want to just do a rough sheet through the day, or if you can start putting things into your quad activity in the WizeHub or in the resource that we have in the Wize Vault, just listing down the things and being quite specific. So if you're completing a BAS or sales tax return, what components does that include? Is it that you're starting it from beginning to end, or are you simply reviewing? Try and be quite specific, micro with what you're working on, so that at the end of the day or the week, you can then analyze those tasks of what division does that fall into, who should be doing that task, who's responsible for it. And piece by piece, you'll be able to recognize, even in your team dynamic, are you lacking resources because you see all of these things that belong to a senior accountant and you don't have one on your team? Or you're doing a lot of things that really could go to admin, but you haven't felt you could let go of those tasks. You know, so many firm owners come in to Wize, they're still doing their own accounts. They're still entering their own bills. They're still paying their bills. They're still processing their own payroll. That's something that you could delegate. That's something that you could be delegating to your admin team to manage for you, or someone in your production team to be taking care of, so that you can focus on other things. By just being specific in pulling out the tasks throughout the day that you're doing, you take away the emotion. Because if we look at it and we think, oh, I don't want someone else doing those things, or no, I can do them, it's easier. We just take that away. We look at the facts of the tasks that you're doing and analyze them quite specifically. And as I said, look at the resources on your team. Who could be doing this task? Do you have that person on your team now, or do you need to? What kind of tasks? You know, it was great for me when I first joined Wize to see how important it was to be hiring a client manager, because there were a lot of things that need to be done, but not by me, in relation to managing our client relationships. So that was one of the first hires that I went about doing, and then saw there was still a lot of grinding work that I was stuck doing. So building out the production team, pushing more and more work down. And now we're at the point of getting our production manager to do her own bot activity sheet tracking, so that we can see what are the things that she's still bottlenecked doing, what are the tasks that we can delegate down into the team further and free her up more, so that our client managers are freed up more as well, because it works in that synergy of, you know, sort of start at the firm owner, move into your client managers, free them up, push that work down, look at the resource mix that you've got.
Yeah, that's the way. I guess the thing a lot of people ask is, how do they delegate? And Ed always says, we're not born managers. We're not taught how to manage, especially when we come out of production. The key to delegating is really in standard operating procedures. So where he says how here, you could write develop SOP on completing BAS, for instance. You can write a list. When do you want to have delegated that by? Now we can click complete when it's done. And what you'll do is, if you keep adding those in there, you'll have a whole list of all the tasks that you do every day, every week, and you'll get a really good sense of really how much work you're doing in quad 1 versus quad 2.
In the development of the WizeHub, that Jamie's now taken it into a bigger scale of what's the firm traffic type things. And then we can look for our owners and then our leaders. What are the activities that they're specifically doing in the firm? We know that we need to get those sales tax returns done. We need to get those BAS lodgements prepared and done. But who can be responsible for them? Who's responsible for emailing clients, following up missing documents? That's not a senior client manager. That can be done by your admin team or someone in production. It's, you know, we're so close to it sometimes that we deal with those clients. Even getting admin to draft the email, getting admin to manage if it's been replied to or not, prompting for a follow-up, taking all of that busy noise off the mind of the leaders in the team, or the production manager, the client managers, freeing them up to focus on other tasks.
This is my favorite part, is quad 1, 2, 3, 4. And you can see here, stop 3, stop 4. If it's 1, we shouldn't be doing it long term. You may not have as Kristy said, she found someone who could do those jobs for her. You might find, and this is what I found, a lot of the stuff here I was doing was admin, and I shouldn't be doing it long term, but it was quad one. And I ended up having so many activities that I actually had a new job description and a new job position out of my quad activities I was trying to delegate. I went and hired someone and gave them all my tasks that I couldn't do anymore because I had to do other things with my time, including Wize. And it just brings a lot of clarity to it. So you can see here, stop, start, continue, delegate. So we'd say delegate this. Who do we delegate it to? Sally, or whoever it is. New SPM hire. The role, who do we delegate it to? I love the way Jamie's mind works. You can kind of see already it's in division 4, which is production. And so you'd only be delegating it to an accountant, a bookkeeper, or a production manager. You can kind of see how logical he is. So you can kind of go down here and hit senior production manager, or maybe it's a tax return should be an accountant, not actually a senior production manager. When are you going to complete it by? End of tax year. And then when you have completed it, yes, we'll put in progress. Is an SOP needed? Draft SOP on how to complete sales tax return. Jamie was working 60, 70-hour weeks, and he was doing, maybe a quarter of what he's doing now in revenue. This was kind of the first thing that really set him on his journey to withdrawing and building up not just withdrawing, it's building up a business at the same time. So you said, Kristy, about delegating, like getting someone to draft the email. This is why it's so beneficial to employees when the owner starts looking at the withdrawal journey in this way. You cannot delegate without building up at the same time. So the reason why most people, I think, say to me, I can't delegate that. I've done this with a lot of the firms I work with. They say, I can't delegate that because there's no one they can give that task to, because they either haven't hired the right people or they haven't built people up. And they're stuck in that business owner quadrant I was telling you all about at the beginning of the call, and they haven't transitioned to passive shareholder, and they never will until they start building up their business. That's why these SOPs are so important. You might find that you don't have an SPM and that a bunch of the activities on your quad, and that's when you can click this time breakup. When you put more things in here, this will look better, but you can actually see by division, your breakup, how much time you're spending per division, and you've got all the activities there as well, by quad activities as well. And so you might find that you actually need someone to hire someone to delegate a whole bunch of stuff off your plate. This will give you so much more clarity around what that position is that you're looking for, if you look at it this way, as opposed to just throwing another body at the problem, getting another junior accountant on board or bookkeeper on board who doesn't really fix the problem that you're still having to do everything. Yes,
you're really looking 100%. At this from a strategic perspective of where am I going to feel the greatest impact in my week to allow me to create the firm that I want for all that you have. So it's a really critical part of looking at it. And as Warren said in the chat, if it's something that has to be done more than once, create an SOP. 100%. And as Jamie will tell us all, have a sticky note on your desk, on your wall. Should I be doing this? If it's no, who are you going to delegate it to? Yep. And as Tim said too, it's not, you don't have to have the people to delegate to yet, but to get the awareness of what you're doing that you shouldn't be, allows you to look at who you need to hire, and also allows you to start removing yourself from those things as soon as you do have someone come into your firm, rather than hiring the wrong person and throwing tasks at them, hoping that they'll magically make life better. It's being considered with what you're doing. It's using your time effectively with the greatest impact and power that you can.
100%. I've got, one of the most perfectionist accountants you'll ever meet in your life. She's one of the best accountants as well. And, if she can delegate to people who she knows don't know as much as her and won't get the job done as best as she can, you can do it. You definitely can do it. I can't believe this accountant has come so far and come to the stage where she is, but it's 100% doable. And especially even if you're a client manager, that's probably the scariest thing to delegate. I asked Ed about this once when he was such a good client manager, why he was okay with his employees taking over. He loves that 80-20 rule, doesn't he? He said that if they do 80% of the job right, that's good enough for him. And he can come in for that last 20%, or, the last 20% doesn't matter as much as that 80%. So it's not about perfection. I think if it is about perfection, the business will forever be dependent upon you. And you'll find as a symptom of this that your staff won't be being built up. I think it'd be very strange to find the case where staff are progressing in their careers when kind of all the main things are being held by that one potential owner. So it's great for the owner. It's great for the business. It's great for the employees. If you haven't had a look at doing this quad activities, if you do timesheets, and we're a big advocate of timesheets at Wize, if you do timesheets, just get maybe your admin staff to dump all your tasks that you've put in your timesheets for the week in here. And then you can go through and do the activity, like quad activity analysis and everything else about who you're going to delegate it to, when you're going to delegate it. And then you could start drafting up SOPs, which is another whole session in and of itself.